Thank you for joining us on the biggest story tonight. For the longest time, Republic TV has been saying, and we have reported, investigated and recorded on tape the confession of the Campus Front of India and other radical groups and their role in the hijab controversy, on how this was an engineered controversy. And today, we have accessed more details. We have accessed the submissions of the Karnataka government. The Solicitor General of India, Tushar Mehta, has on record mentioned the role of the PFI. And Republic had spoken to the Campus Front of India, had recorded the role of the Campus Front of India rhythm, and that's why the story becomes all the more bigger. The Karnataka government submission also accessed by Republic. We have the details. Rhythm is joining us with that big breaking story. She has the details of the Karnataka government submission. Rhythm, good evening. And Prajwal also joining us live from Bengaluru. Rhythm, to you first. Take us to what the Karnataka government is saying, Rhythm.
Good evening. Now, before I come across to that, on day 8, Niranjan, of the hearing in the top court of the country, we saw for the state of Karnataka, the Solicitor General of India made two arguments. One, he very clearly established the role of the Popular Front of India. He details out how a movement was started in 2022. When the movement was started, it was started to wear hijab on social media. He went on to say the students were a part of a larger conspiracy. The students were therefore acting accordingly. Later, he also mentioned Iran, and he did say in Iran, there are constitutionally Islamic countries where women are fighting against hijab. Iran is one of them, so therefore he makes the point it's not an essential religious practice. Mention in the Quran will not make it essential, it only makes it permissible or ideal. A very strong hearing in which the state of Karnataka stated that in every way whatsoever, the petitioners have failed to make out that hijab is an essential religious practice. What is very interesting to note is this is also linking Niranjan with our investigation that was done in February 2022 in Udupi, where we were present on the ground, and we did notice that there were certain elements, fringe elements, that were trying to incite the students. This is exactly what the Solicitor General today, appearing for the state of Karnataka, has stated in the top court of the country, where very clearly, emphatically, it's been established that the Popular Front of India tried to hatch a conspiracy, and the students were brought into this movement as a part of a larger conspiracy. The students were acting out accordingly. Now that this has been established, let's also, Niranjan, take our viewers through that 88-page affidavit that has just been filed in the top court by the state of Karnataka as a part of their written submissions. They are making a threefold point in this, and I don't want to waste too much time. On page 29 and 28, they say, the state of Karnataka says the petitioners have failed to make out any grounds whatsoever that essential religious practice, hijab, is that. They say the reason is, first, an essential religious practice has to be fundamental to the religion. They failed to show that. It has to be from time immemorial. The petitioners failed to show that wearing hijab is from time immemorial. They say the practice has to be observed, and if it's not observed, it would lead to a change in the religion. Again, the petitioners failed to show that. The second point that was made by so many petitioners, lawyers who've been presenting their arguments for the last 7 days in the top court is that there is freedom of speech and expression, which is here being violated. Again, for this, the petitioners are being told by the state that there is no expression. They have failed to convey what expression is fundamental right of expression under the constitution by wearing hijab.
Rhythm, you know, we have those clips. We have documented the role of the PFI offshoot Campus Front of India when they confessed on our cameras about the kind of role that they were playing. And there are new videos, you know, even as we talk about what is happening in India, in Delhi, in the Supreme Court, the hearing on the hijab, we are flooded in the newsroom with videos from Iran, Rhythm. And Iran mention was also made. I'd like to play the video out in the middle. I'll play it on the screen, Rhythm, while you speak over what is happening in Iran. In Iran, there is a revolution against hijabs. Women are speaking out. So many videos. You open up your phone and you check what's the biggest talking point on social media. Look at that video. That's a video from Iran. Women without the veil, without the hijab on the streets of Iran, some burning their veils. These are some of the pictures, by the way, from today where they have dared the police and the morality police, the so-called morality police, men and women together. There's a revolution against the hijab, and for some odd reason, some people in India want the hijab enforced on campuses. They want it to be allowed. I mean, I don't know what's going on. But Rhythm, why don't you tell our viewers about the Iran mention? Especially, I think the Supreme Court judges were also keen on knowing what's happening in Iran. They asked the Solicitor General on it. Rhythm?
Yes, absolutely. So the Solicitor General was asked a question on which country, Niranjan, is actually facing such protest, and he said it's the constitutionally Islamic countries where women are fighting against the hijab. The pictures on the screen say their own story. He also said, therefore, in Iran, it is not an essential religious practice. Mention in the Quran does not make it essential. It may be permissible or an ideal practice, but not essential. These are women who've started a revolution in Iran, and all the other Islamic countries might also be following suit, because what they are doing in these pictures is showing protest, Niranjan. It's also showing, like you said, men and women, but it's also showing them take off their headscarves. They are chased by water cannons. They are shouting. There's a riot police. They are being hurt, beaten, but women continue to be the leaders of this movement, because at the end of the day, all they're trying to say here, and what we are trying to say for our Indian sisters also, is they have a right to choice to wear the hijab, and they also have a choice not to wear the hijab.
Absolutely. Rhythm, I'd like to thank you at this point, and stay with us, Rhythm, because we also have Prajwal joining us. Before I go across to Prajwal, playing out some of those videos that came in from Iran to tell our viewers about the revolution. Women on the streets, unprecedented scenes, unprecedented. The government in Iran is in a fix. They don't know how to respond to it. A 22-year-old was killed after she was picked up by the morality police in Tehran. She died in Tehran because she was not wearing the veil or the hijab in a manner that would seem fit for the morality police in Iran. And the result of it, thousands and thousands on the street. I want to play out a couple of videos and then we'll go across to Prajwal. Meanwhile, before that, I'm getting in some more breaking news update. Rhythm, the Campus Front of India, the mention was made that the PFI played a role in this entire controversy. I have that soundbite when we reported the story. The admission made by the Campus Front of India for the first time, and we were the only channel that recorded the admission. Here it is. I want to play that out right now. The Campus Front of India on record on Republic had said that they were talking to students, convincing students on the hijab issue. Listen into this.
हम किसी को बैकअप नहीं कर रहे थे, हम फ्रंट में रुककर लीड कर रहे थे, बैकअप हम नहीं कर रहे थे।
नहीं वही बोल रहे सर।
सही वही है, बैक नहीं कर रहे थे, हम फ्रंट में रुककर ये लड़कियों का साथ दे रहे थे। हम किसी को बैकअप नहीं कर रहे थे, हम फ्रंट में रुककर लीड कर रहे थे, बैकअप हम नहीं कर रहे थे।
नहीं वही बोल रहे सर।
सही वही है, बैक नहीं कर रहे थे, हम फ्रंट में रुककर ये लड़कियों का हम किसी को बैकअप नहीं कर रहे थे, हम फ्रंट में रुककर लीड कर रहे थे, बैकअप हम नहीं कर रहे थे।
नहीं वही बोल रहे सर।
सही वही है, बैक नहीं कर रहे थे, हम फ्रंट में रुककर ये लड़कियों का साथ दे रहे थे।
So you just heard that. He says the Campus Front of India admits, and they say we were not playing a role in the background. We were right up there in front. We were right in front leading the agitation. Let me get a word from Prajwal as well. Prajwal, the state government, submission has been made. Rhythm brought us the details of it. How closely is the state government watching this? We saw some comments also come in from Karnataka, from different political quarters. A very controversial comment made by the JDS trying to compare the hijab to pallu. Of course, parties going out of the way to make some bizarre comparison or the other.
Absolutely, Niranjan, because there definitely seems to be a huge political fight that is taking place in Karnataka between the Congress, the JDS and the BJP. Looks like the Congress and the JDS have pitted them, have pitted against the BJP over here, because the JDS president, CM Ibrahim, shockingly compared the hijab to a pallu, and he also told that the president wears the hijab, which is nothing but similar to a pallu, and these were the comments that was made by him. And apart from that, he also went on record to mention mentioned to Republic that the PFI as well as the PFI as well as the Campus Front of India are all are all the same sons from different mothers. So this was something which is very shocking, and he also brought in RSS in the mix too. And apart from that, he also went on to state that whether women in women in Rajasthan would remove their dupattas, or would they keep their dupattas on? Will the government go on and ask them to? So this is the sort of politics that is being played. And when we asked whether the JDS was playing to the galleries and was it trying to appease the minorities, he stated that they were not trying to please any community, but wearing hijab should either be left to the choice of the person. So that is exactly what we at Republic are saying. And even Rhythm earlier had also gone ahead and stated that the choice should be left to the individual whether to wear it or not. And one important mention that the Solicitor General Tushar Mehta, the Solicitor General had mentioned was on the 29th of March in 2013, the primary government college in Udupi has clearly gone ahead and given a dress code. And in that particular dress code, hijab has not been mentioned. This he's gone on to say on record. And this also falls in line according to the Karnataka Education Act of 1983 under section 143 of 1. So this clearly goes on and proves that the Karnataka government is going by the book, and it is following the High Court orders also passed by the Karnataka High Court, Niranjan.
Joining us live from Bengaluru there, tracking the story closely. Tomorrow morning at 10:45 a.m. is when that hearing resumes in the Supreme Court. The hijab controversy, it's a moment in our history, and we will be watching very closely what the Supreme Court has to rule on this issue. It's going to be a landmark verdict, whatever comes of it. Tomorrow the hearing continues. Let's see what happens in court. Quick check of the other top stories on the biggest story tonight. PFI affiliates' role in the hijab controversy raised in the Karnataka High Court. Republic TV had exposed Campus Front role. Supreme Court hears the hijab controversy. Solicitor General has mentioned the Iran revolution while making a case against it in Supreme Court. Speaking on hijabs, JDS leader CM Ibrahim stoked a controversy. He compared hijabs to pallu, saying even the President of India wears a pallu.